The Mental Brew Podcast, sponsored by Sentinel Computers, your partner in IT security and support, keeping your business safe. Hi everyone, welcome to the latest episode of the Mental Brew Podcast. My name is Denis and today we have Arron Graffin with us. So Arron is going to tell us a little bit what he does, but Arron is a coach, a former intercounty player, and currently involved with the Antrim Senior Hurlers as a coastal selector as well. Arron, how are you keeping?
Keeping great, Denis. Thanks for having me on today.
No bother, buddy. Come here. Thanks for coming on. Starting off, as I said, I don't really do prepared questions except for this very one, but why do you do what you do?
Great question. Brilliant question, Denis. Yeah, I suppose why do I do what I do? It comes down to passion. I suppose one of the things I read a few years ago was no passion, no point. I actually think it was Eddie Hearn, the boxing promoter. I think he said it. He said if you've got no passion, there's no point in doing what you do. So it's really going after the things that you're passionate about. And I suppose my previous career, I know I'm in coaching and performance now at the moment, but my previous career, Denis, was in logistics and transport shipping. And I suppose when you're a young lad in school, I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. Like many people out there, didn't have a clue to do what I wanted to do. And I probably did the safe option, picked a course where there's jobs,
Yeah.
and went to university, not out of further educating myself, but more out of like a lot of young people going, experiencing university life, having a bit of crack. And I chose to go to Ulster University. And the reason I chose there is because at that time, whenever I was in college, the majority of the best hurlers in Antrim and Ulster would have went to Ulster University, Jordanstown it was called at the time.
Yeah.
So went there and enjoyed playing hurling for a third level college in both Ryan Cup and Fitzgibbon. But the way I would put it was I completely coasted, breezed through my course. Didn't take a huge amount of effort to get through it. Did the bare minimum, I suppose, until I got into third year. Third year was a placement year, and I got placed with a really good company called Key Cargo Services in Belfast, and they were a brilliant company, really really good small private business, and they treated me really well. And seeing it was shipping containers, it was logistics, it was haulage,
Yeah.
and they looked after me. I went back and finished my final year, completed a dissertation, and after that they offered me a full-time job. So I was really lucky that I was coming out of college at 22 years of age, with the job sitting there ready for me. And
Yeah.
that's what you do. You go and work, and that's it. And but I knew that sort of world, that industry didn't light the fire in my belly. It didn't set my soul on fire. It didn't get me going in the morning. It didn't hop out of bed wanting to, go and, ship freight around the world.
Yeah.
It sounds glamorous, but it's not that glamorous. But the thing about it was I just did it. And the reason I just done it and stayed in that job was because it was a good environment. It was decent
Yeah.
money. They looked after me, and it was really flexible in terms of being the best I could be as an inter-county player.
Yeah.
So if I needed to get away early for training, or if there was something on, there was no issue with it. So they treated me really well. So coasted along, went with the flow of my career, didn't really get challenged. Um, and then I suppose I knew there was something more. There was always something more inside me. And I worked in this industry for 14 years, you know. But I suppose I read a book, and this book genuinely, honestly, I would change my life in terms of how I approach things. And it was a book by a leading author in leadership called Simon Sinek.
Yeah.
And
Brilliant.
his book was Start With Why. And it comes back to that question you asked me there, is why do you do what you do? This book was all about why do
Yeah.
you do what you do? Why do you make that decision? Why are you involved? Why do you work where you work? What's the reason? And the overarching theme was you can't go to work to get paid money. So you get salary at the end of the month.
Yeah.
There has to be more to it. There has to be. It just can't be ticking a box. And from reading that book, it was like a light bulb got off my head going, right, hold on a minute. I'm in the wrong place. This is not where I can be my best. Um, but the last thing you can do is just quit your job and then go and aimlessly follow something that you don't know what you're going after. So I knew I had to change something. Didn't
Yeah.
know what it was, but I knew deep down what I was interested in and what I was passionate about. And that was GAA, that was sport, that was hurling. But it was also other aspects to that, Dennis, in terms of leadership, sports psychology, performance, development. All of these
Yeah.
areas were just, buzzwords that I just loved to, I was interested in. I just loved
Yeah.
to learn more about. But I suppose my level of knowledge on it was quite surface level. So I
Yeah.
knew I needed to do something, upskill, re-educate or something. So this was around COVID time, so 2020. And I suppose like the buzz of COVID, like, we're all stuck indoors. So I was jumping on every single webinar going on anything really just to really upskill myself. And I decided then, do you know what? I think I'll go back and do a master's degree. And
Yeah.
I remember leaving Georgetown, Ulster University from my undergrad, and that was like, that's me done with education. I'm finished with it.
Yeah.
10 years later, I was going back. But I was going back with a crystal clear focus on really, really passionate about the area I was going into. And the master's was sports coaching and performance. So it was really delving into the theory
Yeah.
behind coaching models, behind, motivation, and behind all of these really interesting concepts in coaching and performance. And I loved it. It was just it was like whetting my appetite for more and more and more. But when going through that master it was nearly like a catalyst. It was like a match just being lit in me and just set the fire off because it opened doors to so many people that I met across
Yeah.
different sports and different industries and different levels. Networked with a load of people, and then from completing that masters, I had a decision to make because I was doing the masters while I was working full time in my
Yeah.
logistics job. And the same, it just shows you. My boss at the time was like, he was totally happy for me to balance that, but he probably knew I had things lined up for down the line. But I had a decision to make whether, right, I've got a master's here in this, do I do anything with it or do I continue doing what I'm doing? And
Yeah.
I actively made the decision that I needed to change. I needed to go after something. And that can be quite nerve-wracking whenever you're maybe 33, 32, 33 years of age.
Yeah.
You have a young family, a mortgage, and you're like, right, let's have a career change here.
Yeah.
Whenever the safe thing is to stay doing what you're doing. But we all know, especially yourself, Dennis, in that comfort zone, there's no growth, development, improvement. You have to stretch yourself to really to really challenge yourself. And that's
Yeah.
what I decided to do. And that just came from networking, from talking to people, opening doors, and really getting the head up and seeing what opportunities was out there. And I done that, and I tried to go for a few jobs in the GAA and the Camogie Association in different sporting bodies, and was unsuccessful a lot of the time. And you sort of like sport, after a defeat or a failure, you can get quite hard on yourself, and you can get quite pity me and will this ever happen and all
Mm.
this. It's the exact same in sport. And but for me, like every no for me, no is like next opportunity. That's what that means.
Yeah.
No, next opportunity. And it was like, I'm just really confident and I suppose in myself that if I keep knocking on doors, one is going to friggin' open.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And I suppose like you go through that process of you're still working in your job, but you're keeping your eye open for different things. And I said, you know what, I'll peel back a wee bit and not really be as aggressive as going after it. And when I done that, it's just funny how stars align. And
Yeah.
I suppose the role in the GPA came up as a player development manager, and it was just I remember reading the job spec. It came up on Twitter. I seen it. I looked at the job spec, and then I sent it to my wife, Sarah Louise, and I was just like, "This is exactly what I want to be doing." Like
Yeah.
if I couldn't have wrote a better job spec for exactly the job that I wanted to do, and it was as a player development manager. And fortunate enough, I went for that job and I got that job. I've been in that role now for the last 2.5 years. And I suppose working in my role in the GPA as a player development manager at PDM, absolutely love what I do. I don't feel like I'm working. I'm getting to
Yeah.
support intercounty players on a daily basis in their personal development. So it's not on the field stuff. It's not trying to compete at the highest level. It's their life. It's what are
Mm.
they doing in their life so that they can be their best off the pitch, and that directly correlates to being their best on the pitch. So massively love what I do, and I suppose that's just a wee sort of whistle stop story of where I was and where I'm at now. And I suppose like everybody's story, everybody has challenges along the way, and it's not linear. Like progression, development, improvement's not linear. It's messy
Yeah.
in the middle. It's up and down. It's one step forward, four steps back. But I'm confident in being persistent and have discipline. And if you have that motivation, doesn't matter what you're going after, if it's a new career, a new job, if it's something to do with sport, if it's something to do with your personal life, if you go after it with that discipline, you can get there with a lot of perseverance, I suppose. So yeah, that's a wee bit about me.
Do you know what? Now, we more or less have the exact same stories at different careers.
Yeah,
Uh, I was the exact same doing teaching. I was lucky enough. I've been involved with Cork development squads all from 14. I think the only Cork squad I haven't been involved with is the Cork senior footballers. So
right.
I've been lucky enough involved in minors, 20s, all in varying roles. But similar enough, love GA, but I didn't want to go, we'll say, coaching full time like a GDA. I just
Yeah,
have no interest in that. But it was around the time of COVID. I actually remember meeting my buddy before that, and he works in a factory. He's like, geez, look, have you in there or whatever else? And I felt like I was in a box. I was a teacher and that was it. And to get out was really, really hard. And then COVID hit. I said, fuck it. I'm going to do something here now. So I went and did leadership and transformational change with Kingston College. And then that was
brilliant.
the start. But then did a load of other courses that probably lasted about 18 months. But I never did anything with Fusion at that time because I'd be honest, I knew I couldn't offer value at that stage. I was just, you'd be going up against people who've come from industry, doing something similar, and you only kind of get one chance to impress. But I won't forget it. It was Ashton was pregnant, and we were over in Turkey, so it was our last holiday as a
Yeah,
couple before the
yeah,
little man arrived and kind of ruled the roost. But I'd applied for, and I think I've said this before, but I'd applied for the Masters in Waterford in Sport and Exercise Psychology
oh yeah,
just before we left. I'd say about a week or 10 days before we left, could even be 2 weeks. I was accepted on the course, so I said it to her. I goes, look, I've been accepted on the course. This would be really good for the business, but I'd have to pack in the teaching. Like I couldn't be applying for full time jobs because it was the way the course was structured. And she was like, go for it. And I've been kind of doing it since, which has been brilliant.
yeah,
And look, I'd still sub away when it kind of suits me. But things, as we just talked about before we recorded, things are getting way busier. But you're dead right. That kind of career change is a huge challenge. There's a huge worry around it. There's self-doubt around it, there's anxiety around it, but obviously, I'm into it now. Jesus, done it because nearly two. So like, yeah, for 2.5 years properly, I'd say. And it's, I suppose every year is getting better. Year two is better than year one. Hopefully year three will be better than year two. Um, but can we have a question for you? Because I would have noticed this when I was teaching, the amount of intercounty players that go for teaching, right? And don't get
yeah,
me wrong, some of them might have a massive passion for it. Now, a few of them don't from the players that I would have met, but you can see why they do it. Some are off, they can train like a professional athlete. In terms of recovery, they can recover. There's a lot of time off. In what you do, in the work you do with athletes, especially in the J, obviously, is there a danger that they put the J first and the career after, and that there could be a 10-year block where, as you said, they're just collecting the money, maybe not necessarily sure what they want to do. And don't get me wrong, there's still plenty of time on that. But does that bring challenges then for the individual when they're kind of coming to the end? And we'll get to your intercounty career, but there's the dealing with maybe your career is ending, kind of getting to that natural point where, you know, younger players are coming through, players have moved on, and then all of a sudden they kind of go, well, geez, the intercounties game is over for me. I'm not necessarily happy with, say, my teaching career with the example I have. Like, is there, I suppose, difficulties around that in the transition for intercounty players with that example?
yeah. 100%, Dennis. And what you're saying there really resonates with me in terms of that's exactly what happened to me. So I finished up playing with Antrim in 2018,
Mm,
and that was my last year. And 2019 actually was a really good year because it allowed me to go on holidays when I wanted. I had a knee issue that I got cleared up. I had to go get surgery. So 2019 was great. But whenever I got to the end of 2019, I was sitting there nearly, it was around November time before Christmas. I remember sitting going, I don't have intercounty. I I'm in a job that I don't love. I don't have
yeah.
passion for. There's no progression. I'm not going anywhere. What am I doing?
Mm,
And it was a real self like, and then that's when I read that book. And then, as I say, I
yeah.
went into COVID in 2020. But like, I honestly coasted through my career because it allowed me to be. the best inter-county player I could be over here,
Yeah, yeah.
honestly. And I see that so many times within the GPA. So many of our members are, as you said, teachers. Teaching is a fantastic profession in terms of the security, in terms of summers off and your holidays, in
Mm,
terms of um, having an impact on young lives. Brilliant. But as I say, some people maybe get into teaching because they see it as an opportunity to train and play like a professional athlete
yeah,
within their inter-county teams. And that's great and it works okay. But what I've seen quite a lot is players then maybe teaching for 4, 5, 6, 10, 12 years,
yeah,
and the inter-county bubble is maybe going to burst because there's a finite time there of it start and finishes,
yeah,
and then they're getting itchy feet and they're looking at, I need to try something else, or I'm not interested in teaching anymore. They're hitting their head off the ceiling. They maybe don't want to go into a principalship or
yeah,
senior leadership, and they're like, what can I do? And I see that quite a lot. But I suppose what I'm trying to say is that was me, and I'm trying to encourage players to maybe take charge of their lives
yeah,
off the pitch and really have their eye on the ball there because they go hand in hand. A lot of
yeah,
the time we put all of our eggs in one basket, and then once that basket is empty, then they're looking over here going, I haven't been doing over here. And then they're scrambling,
yeah,
for sure. So definitely the work we would do with players is trying to get them to really look at their own personal development. And that could be a short course, it could be trying to upskill, it could be
yeah,
are you in the right career? And a lot of the times I'd be talking to players and they're unsure about career. One of the questions I would ask them would be, is the ladder that you're climbing leaning against the right wall? And
mm,
what I mean by that is we get into a job and you want to get promoted to the next level and you want a progression, you want to build and you want to climb that ladder of success or whatever that
yeah,
might look like. But sometimes it's not in the right industry or it's not in the right job or not in the right
yeah,
space. You're actually more suited or you're more passionate about something over here. And it's not an easy process to find out. And I would encourage players to explore, to, try stuff, to figure out what they're really interested in, what they're passionate about, and then get a plan in place to go after what that looks like. It's not always easy to do that, and people, as I say, go along their own pathway. But definitely, it's important for players to look at that side of their life. And the way I would say it would be like you talk to an inter-county player, say a high performing elite athlete, and
yeah.
if you said to them, right, if I took your sport away from you, I just snatched it away from you, and you can never play it again, never be involved in it, never coach it, it was gone from your life. Who are you?
Mm,
Who are you? And the thing about inter-county players, a lot of them, their identity is the inter-county player. And I suppose that's why the GPA's, tagline is you see players, we see people, because you're a person first who just happens to be an elite athlete at inter-county level. But like if that was taken away from you, one bad injury, you were dropped from a team, due to performance, what's going on in your life over here? And it's important to make sure you have everything in balance and in check.
that's brilliant. Actually, leads on nicely to my next question. So we'll say we get, we'll say development squads, right? So we get the lads at 12 and 13, they're kind of in their regions or whatever else, and then they get put onto a county development squad. So their county, development squad of 14, 15, we'll say 16, 17, the old system up to minor, right? So like in that environment, and I've been there, as coaches, you want the best players playing with the county development squads. You want to develop them so they can all go on and play senior, so teams win All Irelands and championships and whatever else. But like in that environment, the vibe from when I was there was this is nearly the be all and end all, right? So you have a young Fredane at 13 who is in the county system all the way up till he finishes his career because he's extremely talented, right? There's people in Cork who've done it. I'm not going to mention names now, but they have, and it's brilliant. Fair play to them. But my question then is, and I'm going to link this to your own career. When that career finishes, that identity piece around I am a Cork footballer, it basically has been their life. So they put holidays on hold. They might put personal relationships developing personal relationships, whether it be boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever, aside, kind of going, no, I want to give my full focus to being the very best athlete I can be. And again, they get massive joy and satisfaction. And so it's brilliant. But then they could be their mid 30s, and as you said, the bubble bursts. They could be single and we'll say left massive, meaningful opportunities, relationships behind them. And, but it's nearly like they've been programmed since under 14 that it's county, it's county, it's county. This is the most important thing in your life. How, I suppose, how can we do better in terms of the GA with that? So I'm always been with the thing that, and some coaches are brilliant. I will mention one fella, Brian Hurley. He would have been, he's with the Cork Senior footballers now in the backroom team, but he was with the Cork 20s previously. He was a Cork minor manager, and he was always brilliant. And his saying was, lads, if you want to have a burger, have a burger. He was trying to show the lads that you can do other things outside it. But like, could the GA or even county setups be doing a little bit more in terms of starting a little younger to educate players that yes, this is a huge passion for you, but there's a lot of going on here in the left hand side in life in general where you can try and do both. It doesn't necessarily have to be the tunnel vision that it is what it is, you know?
Big time. Like, and look, we're all invested in the GAA and sport. We love it. Like, it's our passion. That's what we
Yeah,
love to
yeah,
do. We love to go and watch matches and love to see, your team that you follow do well and win championships and all Irelands and stuff. And that's what we love. Like, it was said to me one time, there's two lists in life. There's the important list and there's the unimportant list. The important list is family, friends, your health. Realistically,
mm,
that's the real important stuff. If you look at some of the stuff going on in the world at the moment, like that's the real important stuff. Okay,
yeah,
the unimportant stuff is really everything else, you
yeah,
know. But like at the top of that unimportant list is like GA and sport. We love it. But like
yeah,
really, you lose a match on a Sunday, you win a match on a Sunday. What odds? Like
yeah,
there's 6 billion people in China and they don't know what hurling is. So it's really to understand there's so much going on in the world out there. And I talk about holistic development. That
mm,
holistic word is like that whole person. So sport is just one piece
yeah,
like of a jigsaw. So, there's no point in just having one piece. It doesn't tell the whole picture.
yeah,
So you have to, we probably have to get better, even as underage academy coaches, is really understanding, right? Well, you know, some young lad is doing really well in sport, but how's things at home? What's their
yeah,
school like? Are they like so there's so many different pieces to that puzzle, like, so it's really making sure that we encourage holistic development. And the thing about it is, you've probably seen it as well, Dennis, the 12-year-old who's the star of the team, they might not even make it to senior.
yeah, yeah,
But then
absolutely.
you have a late developer who, at 12, 14 years of age, they're not great. They're not great physically. But then
Yeah,
17, they're tipped to be and then they go on to play Cork Senior. And that's
yeah,
why I talk about development not being linear and how
yeah,
everybody is different and nobody should be, you know, pigeonholed in a box because of this, that, or whatever, but giving everybody the best opportunity to be their best both on and off the pitch. Because I genuinely believe it's correlated that if I'll give you an example, right? Say you've training tonight and you
yeah,
have a row with a missus, you fall out over something silly in the house and you're in
yeah,
bad form. You go out the door and you go to training. Are you going to train to your best that night? Like, are you going to be on it? Probably not,
yeah,
because you've got shit going on at home. You've had a row, it's silly, and there's stuff going on. Or you could have had a row with your boss, or you could have had a bad day at work, or anything. But whenever you go to training and you're not in the zone because you've got other stuff in your life, um, you can't be your best on the pitch because you
yeah,
feel heavy, you feel like you've got baggage there, you've something weighing you down. But then you're going to feel sluggish. Your touch isn't going to be great. You're not going to fly extra run. You're just not feeling it. But then on the flip side of it, say if you had a great day at work, everything is rosy in your life,
yeah,
finances are good, relationship with your partner's brilliant, you're just happy in your job, you're feeling joy, you're going to train skipping, and it feels easier, it feels lax, and it's all correlated towards what you want to do and all
yeah,
performance. So definitely that holistic side of making sure that everything in your life is in balance, I suppose. And you talk about eating a burger, like it doesn't matter as long as you have good balance there. And it's all about when know the push and pull
yeah,
and knowing when to put really putting all your eggs in one basket and saying, look, say this hurling team is everything. We need to do this. If we do it, it's going to give you happiness and joy. That happiness and joy can come from actually just being part of that journey.
yeah,
There's a big
absolutely.
thing. I've spoke to people before, and they've said like we'll be happy when we win that championship. we'll be happy when we win that All Ireland.
Yeah.
And like so many things have to go right for that to happen. Like, and it's all without your control.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. Yeah.
we look, we're quite silly sometimes. We look at success. Success equals winning for people.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily the case. Success could be making a number 26 on a panel.
100%.
26 could be getting called up and given a trial in a squad. Maybe it doesn't work out, but I got that trial. So success for everybody is different. And we can lose track of that. Success equals a trophy or walk on the Hogan stand steps. And yes, that is success, but it's not everybody's success. And it's just, I suppose, really important not to forget that and not really always get so invested and on getting to that level and being up there and being the best because sometimes you can only be your best.
Yeah.
Your best might not be the best.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
just the way it is. And I'd be a big fan of John Wooden and his definition of success pretty much is self-satisfaction and doing your best to become the best that you're capable of becoming. So pretty much with everything that you have in your body, your best, be your best, and that's what success is. So it's I suppose going back to your question is we probably can do more to make sure that young lads, especially young lads and young girls, uh, are being treated with, I suppose, that care
Yeah.
and that that holistic sort of lens that they're not just improving as a player,
Yeah.
they're improving as a person first, and then hopefully that will help, you know.
So, this episode is brought to you by Sentinel Computers, trusted IT support for Irish businesses for over 20 years. From cybersecurity to cloud solutions, Sentinel Computers keeps your systems secure, compliant, and performing at their best. Visit sentinelcomputers.net to protect what matters most. You mentioned there, so you played county hurling for years, right? You obviously played high level then in college, so hurling, even now, huge part of your life. When you finished up with Antrim, when did it kick in? I suppose that maybe the anxiety or the I suppose the sense of loss. So like I'm guessing maybe is it like the summer holidays, the first couple of weeks, like, oh man, this is sweet to be on holidays, and you obviously get into routine. I suppose, or when did you start to miss that routine of county preparation between, the gym sessions, meeting the lads? Like, what was it for you that went, oh man, shit, it's over? And you
Yeah.
had that real reflection piece? Because I know I would have seen interviews with lads when they're moved on to the retired group WhatsApp when it could hit them there.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose like for me, I remember, right? Like I was lucky enough to be quite successful with my club Cushendall and winning championships, senior championships, but I lost more than I won. And that's a
Yeah,
stat that doesn't sit well with me. But I do genuinely remember maybe I was mid-20s and losing a championship final that I was a captain
yeah,
of the club. So I had, all your speech prepared for winning and all that. Didn't happen. So I didn't get to say that speech. But I genuinely remember for about 3 months after being in a sense of near depression
yeah,
of it was everything. This meant everything for the club and the community.
yeah.
And the sense of loss when it's just snatched away from you and you see the opposite team that you're rivals against going on and winning and enjoying it.
Mm,
There's a sense of it's nearly like a death in the family. That's how I would
yeah,
describe it. And that's I mean when I was younger, I was so fixated, I was tunnel vision focused on this winning success. And when you get a bit older, you reflect back and go, geez, that was a wee bit silly thinking like that. But I
mm,
suppose that's the way it was. For the county thing, as I said, that 2019 was actually great because holidays, got away on holidays, went to Australia, went to New Zealand, different things. But then I suppose once the club season finished in 2019, that was like really you were getting punched in the stomach going, that's you have nothing
yeah,
here. That's it, done and dusted. And there is a sense of loss. There's a sense of, I suppose, attachment. You're
yeah,
attached to a group of people and a bond, and it's nearly like just cutting the cord, and you're away on your own. And
yeah. It's very fine. It's very, very. Sorry to interrupt, but it's very final. Do you know what I mean? It's like
it is, yeah.
someone dies, like because I know when you're small and there's people that are close to you and your family without being massively close, as in like not a mom or dad, but they die and you're a little bit sad. I would experience that anyway. But then it was like there's been, I suppose, two people since I've been with 18 that passed away, and it hurt. And like
Mm,
it's the one thing I found, and even now it's the finality of it. It's literally you from today on, you will never see or hear from them again, and that is really difficult to deal with.
Yeah, 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 for sure. And it is a sense of like once you're out and you're away. And I suppose one time, so I don't live where I in Cushendall, where I'm from. I live in my wife's parish village in Clondalkin, County Down.
Mm,
But I suppose it's I've lived down here since 2018. I travelled up and down the road for training and matches for about 5 years.
yeah,
Um, but once that was gone, that was really out on my own because that was my club, my community, and where I'm from, my place. And
yeah,
being cut from there, living in a different place, you're out of the community, and all my best friends still play on that team. But
yeah,
I'm not in the bubble anymore, and I'm chatting to my friends, going, "Oh, what's the team for the weekend?" Or
yeah,
how's the team?
yeah, yeah,
And they're not telling me anything, and they shouldn't be telling me anything because I'm
yeah,
not in that environment anymore. But there's a sense of loss there, and I suppose it's a sense of you're not connected anymore to that group of
yeah,
people who you soldiered beside for so many years, and you've nearly, you're cast to the side now, and it's pretty, next man stands up to take your place, and
yeah,
brilliant young players coming in and brings energy, but like there's still a sense of, oh geez, I'd love to be in there again, but your body and things happen that you can't do that to that level anymore. But and that's just the transition of a sports player, but sports person. But it's there definitely is a sense of loss, and especially for inter-county players, Dennis, that maybe identify themselves as the court footballer, the court
yeah,
curler,
yeah.
and they have for 15 years, and then it's gone, and you're like, right, what's next? Go back to your club. Yes, that's brilliant, but there is still a heavy heart there sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously enough, you had the Antrim crest on you for years, but you actually have it back on you again as part of the management team with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Davy Fitz. How has that experience been for you? And I suppose when you got the call to go in, obviously you were delighted because you said yes, but like what was the initial feeling when you kind of got the call? Like was it like, oh yes, I can't wait for the drive. I can't wait to be in that dynamic again. I can't wait to get the gear. The gear is always my thing. I can't wait to get the gear. I can't wait to, the buzz of championship when you see the Antrim crest and the yellow jersey. Like what was it that kind of what
Yeah.
thoughts went through your mind? What thoughts went running through your mind when you got that call?
Yeah, like I suppose to take you back a wee bit, I was involved with Antrim Minors for
Yeah,
a year. I was involved with Antrim Under 20s for a few years as
yeah,
well
brilliant.
with a couple other people. So Darren Gleeson done unbelievable work, really good work with Antrim for 5 years. And as his sort of time came to an end, and whenever the announcement came that Davy Fitz was coming on, like there was serious buzz and excitement around the county. Like, and for me also, we were all like, "Jesus, class." And even we were chatting, I wonder who's in his background team and stuff. And
Mm,
when that call came, shock first probably. I was like, "Geez, flip, we're just come out type of thing." And then excitement, and you're like, "Geez, this would be unreal to be involved at a senior inter-county level with my former county, Antrim, who I
yeah,
played with." And the other thing about it is a lot of the players that are there, I would have hurled with
yeah,
Antrim, and also would have hurled against them all at club level too. So I
yeah,
knew the people, I knew the system, I knew the young players coming through from minors and 20s. So I was really, really excited. And then I went and met Davey, sat down with him for a couple of hours one day in Dublin in a hotel, and was just going away absolutely buzzing, going, this
yeah,
this is going to be really, really good. And
yeah,
I've massively enjoyed it now. From the outside looking in, it looks like Antrim didn't have a great year last year because we got relegated from the Liam McCarthy. But being involved in that environment and seeing, I suppose, just being involved in a senior inter-county multidisciplinary team of people was
yeah,
massively enjoyable, and getting exposed to work with the best players in the county, and getting your hands on them, doing a bit of coaching with them, developing some relationships with new people, and just learning. Like I was like a sponge last year,
yeah,
just absorbing everything. Davey as well is like everybody knows he's a massively passionate hurling man. But whenever you get in under the cover of, and you really see him in action, and you get to talk to him and develop a relationship with him, you know, extremely intelligent hurling brain, um, cares a lot about the players that he works with, cares a lot about the people that he works with,
yeah,
and the project, and Antrim. And yeah, it's been a massive learning curve for me, and like I'm delighted to be involved with them again next year in 2026. So hopefully we drive on, and we can keep trying to develop these players and try to get them to a level that we feel that they can get to.
And in terms of it's been kind of well documented, Jason Sherlock was in the news recently, and they're talking about paying intercounty managers and whatnot. I can't remember what they said with selectors, but like, what kind of hours are you putting in? I'm guessing it's fairly full on.
Yeah, it is full on. Like, we were training 3 nights a week collectively on the pitch. So, your Tuesday, Friday, Sunday. But then, obviously there's gym sessions and stuff like, but you do a lot of work away from the pitch. So you're doing planning, you're chatting to each other on the phone, you're
Yeah,
discussing players, you're discussing teams, you're discussing challenge matches, you're discussing weekends away, training programs. So hard to put a figure on it, but it is, the inter-county management or coaching gig, it's nearly like a second job, being honest, because of
yeah,
the time that you're putting into it. Um, it is hugely, hugely rewarding in terms of fulfillment and satisfaction. Like, as I say, we love it. But I love being involved with those players. I love going to training. I love going to matches. Win, lose or draw. I love being in that environment. It's just really, really, it gets me going. Do you know, it really
yeah,
excites me. So yeah, there is a lot of time put into it, and it's probably only going one way. That the commitment to it is, is getting even higher. If you look at the biggest teams or the best teams in the country, compared to the lower tier teams, they're all training the same volume. Like,
yeah, yeah,
it's a lot, like, and it's a lot to be asked of, like, amateur athletes, because they're all dual career athletes who all have jobs on the
yeah.
side. So, but there is a huge commitment to it, Dennis. Yeah, big time.
Just again, this isn't necessarily with Antrim in mind, but just in general, your own experience and even talking to intercounty players, if it keeps going the way it's going, are we going to see shorter careers, do you think? Because the demands put on them, like if you look at clubs now, clubs are probably run like counties were maybe 10 years ago, or maybe a little bit more in terms of demand. Like I remember hearing a conversation about a coach going up to a player and quizzing him his holidays with his family or with his friends, and or basically hinting that we need you around, don't go away on any holiday, like, which at club level is grossly unfair. But like, I suppose in terms of longevity of career, do you think we'll see someone playing to their mid 30s? Obviously, we say forget the physical demands of the game, but I'm talking about like even the demands put on them. There's a lot of travel there in those 10 or 15 year career. There's a lot of gym sessions. There's a lot of ask put on players. So what would you think? And just, and it's your own opinion, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose there's a cost to anything. There's a cost to anything we do, and I know at inter-county level, people say, oh, they make sacrifices, which yes, they do. But for me, it's more a choice
Yeah,
deciding whether to be invested into a team. It's all about commitment, I suppose. But yeah, like, the commitment levels are through the roof. You probably will see players maybe deciding that, I've got an itch that I want to scratch. I want to go traveling, or I
mm,
want to maybe pursue this part of my life more than I want to maybe commit to this team.
yeah, yeah,
And they'll make a decision based on that information. But yeah, it's a difficult one, and I don't know what the answer is in the long term, but definitely to be invested in GA, both club and county, there is commitments to it, in terms of
mm,
training, matches, and more's being asked by players to do. But I suppose it's choices at the end of the day if they want to do it or not.
yeah, yeah.
And they have to weigh that up. Like, but definitely there's a lot of things to think about there. Yeah.
And we obviously getting to the GPA now, and we're nearly coming to the end. But I do have a question. This is probably a stupid question because it's probably in the title, right? So obviously, there's massive support for players. Um, we say who would play county. I know there was a friend of mine. He played minor with Cork, and he got support from the GPA, which is brilliant. Is there any mechanism within the GPA for support for county managers, county selectors who are looking to upskill, who are looking to do whatever else, or is it just focus on the players?
Yeah, well, I suppose in terms of our remit, it's players. Now we do cater for former and current players. One thing you see is a lot of current managers and selectors are former players at inter-county
Yeah,
level. So there is support for them. And the thing about the GPA is really looking at the player's best interest. So it's,
Mm,
where I work in is development. So it's really trying to make sure that they develop their own skills away from that pitch. Like I am invested in with my colleagues delivering our player development program. What that really looks like, Dennis, is trying to help players to focus in on other key areas of their life. And we have a program called BO 360. And what BO 360 is, it's a bespoke, individualized program tailored for the needs of those players, whatever they may need. And that BO really means in Irish is to be alive. And that BO really stands for to help players to build
mm,
their own foundation. It tries them to take it tries to empower them to really then take ownership of their own journey. And with that, it really looks at four key areas. We look at life skills, so developing different life skills, looks at their dual career, their education and their career. It looks at transition, like we spoke about that, transitioning out of the game or into the game, and then it looks at well-being as well. So there's a
mm.
lot of services and support there available for both current and former inter-county players, but it's across our four codes, so it supports Camogie, LGFA as well as the men's game as well.
Brilliant. And I suppose how do you think the GPA can, I suppose, evolve and grow? Because I'm guessing the needs of players, the list of what they need in terms of supports, I presume is ever growing because again, the demands on them, the challenges they face, again, we're all facing challenges at the moment, but how do you think the GPA can grow and evolve over the next 10 or 15 years?
Yeah, well, definitely we need to keep um, pushing the boundaries of what's possible, and that really looks at just making sure that players' welfare at the first and foremost of their needs and what they're looking for, and definitely in terms of that development space and the representation, it's really trying to strive for equality, getting more females, the female side of the game to reach out to our servers and support them as best we can. And the thing I suppose about what we do, it's always about putting the players first, and I know the GAA and our national governing bodies have a massive part to play with this integration piece that's coming up in a couple of years, But the players, I suppose, the players bring in the most revenue for the GAA and the national governing bodies. Like the way I would put it, Dennis, is you go to All Ireland final Sunday. Who are you paying your ticket to go and see? You're going to see the players playing the pitch.
Yeah,
You're going to Crook Park. You're making the trip up to Crook Park. You're spending your money to go and watch the unbelievable skills that are on place by the players. And I think we can't lose sight of that because there's so many good players out there. There's so many more that are going to come in the next 10, 15 years. The skill level, the stuff that you see on the pitch is extraordinary. So
yeah.
entertaining, unbelievable. And yeah, I think we just need to make sure that the players are looked after, both on the pitch but also off the pitch to make sure that they have, I suppose, all their ducks in a row, that if they decide to make a change in their life, that they have a good plan in place. So definitely just making sure the players are forefront of everything.
That's brilliant. And we're coming to the end now. We've got five quick fire questions here.
Yeah.
The first one is, what are you most proud of in your life?
Probably my children. Yeah. Yeah, I have a 3-year-old Cara and I have a 1-year-old Ollie. So yeah, I have two kids.
Flat out. So, if you could bring one non-sport skill into the GA, what would it be?
One non-sport skill into the GAA. That's a really good question. Um, I think a big skill for people to be is adaptable, and I suppose
Absolutely.
it's not a skill in directly in sport, but for everybody to be really, really adaptable, I think things would be a lot better, that growth mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. On a side note, I know we're both accredited with Mindflick for the Spotlight assessment to
Yeah,
deliver that. That obviously champions adaptability. So, we've given them a
yeah,
shout there. What's the best piece of advice a coach ever gave you that still sticks with you today?
yeah. This is my dad. My dad wasn't a coach, but he just says, "Son, get stuck in," um, and that's just what I tried to do whenever I was playing. Just get stuck in.
If you had to pick one, brains, body, or belief, which wins the most games?
Belief for me, big time. I always struggled with that. Always was comparing myself to other players who were maybe
Yeah,
I thought were better than me. Uh, that's one thing. If I was to go back and talk to an Arron Graffin at 18 years of age, that's what I'd tell him is believe in yourself, son, you'll go after it.
And what would you hope to achieve in yourself, whether it be career, whether it be with Antrim over the next 5 years?
Yeah, that's a good one. Just want to become a better coach. I really do. I just want to become better at coaching. I'm massively interested in other sports. I like basketball. I like watching rugby. I like watching other coaches coach in different environments. So,
Yeah.
one thing I would say, Dennis, is I'm a really good thief in terms of I love stealing. I love stealing. I watch and then I steal their ideas or I steal drills or games. And I was like,
Yeah.
I could use that. So yeah, become a
Yeah.
better coach probably over the next 5 years.
If it's not nailed down, take it.
Yeah, that's it.
But Aaron, I must say, I could actually talk to you for another hour, man. I must say, I've really enjoyed the chat. It's been absolutely brilliant.
No
I
problem.
want to say thanks so much for coming on, and I'm really looking forward for people hearing it.
No problem. Thanks very much, Dennis. All the best.
And best of luck in the year ahead.
Thank you. Thanks, lad. Thanks.